good. I knew that I would. Well, hopefully you will feel good if you have a dentist that you trust and who knows what the heck they're doing. But you know what? We look to the future of technology in so many fields. And could it be happening in the field of dentistry? Well, Chuck Stapleton thinks it is. He's Chief Operating Officer of Sun Dental Labs. And he says the trends in dentistry are really growing, and our visits, I want to hear exactly why it's going to happen, will be a less agonizing experience. So what if I said 3D digital scan? Maybe that's going to make the difference. Nice to have you with us, Chuck.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Okay, so what is this thing called 3D digital scan?
Well, 3D digital scanning. So you've had a crown done, and you've had
I've had a butt.
If you
Are you kidding? Hey, Chuck, I got to be honest with you. I could retire on this mouth.
So your dentist could retire as well off of that.
You betcha.
But when you went in to get your crown, they took an impression of your mouth. They took that plastic tray, filled it with that goop, and then you had to hold it in your mouth and not move for 5 minutes. You know, it can be a little tough. Sometimes you'll gag. And then they have to pull the impression out. And sometimes...
Been there, done that.
Yeah,
you think your brains are going to be pulled out with it.
Yep. It's very difficult to get out. And sometimes they have to do it twice because the first time it didn't work. And what a 3D digital scan does, actually, they have intraoral scanning devices now. So they can actually make a 3D rendering of your entire mouth without that tray. They take this little device about the size of a pen, and they run it over your teeth, and it creates a 3D representation of what your teeth actually look like.
Really?
Yes, it's really fascinating technology. And traditionally, that impression would have been sent off to a dental lab. Somebody would have sit there and had to hand make your tooth. They would have stacked the porcelain. They would have casted the metal. But now with this 3D technology, it can all be done with 3D printers and milling machines designed with CAD software. It ends up with a much more consistent and better product for the patient in the end.
No way! Now, so do you have to wait for it, or it can be done like right then, that day?
There's two ways that it can work. If your dentist is a little more progressive, a little more cutting edge, they actually have machines that can be in the office that can machine the crown for you while you wait. It takes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. You get the procedure done in one day, and it gets sent out. The other alternative is that it does get sent to a dental lab and still manufactured, but it's only 3 or 4 days of manufacturing time instead of waiting weeks or weeks to get that crown back.
Yeah, usually it's like a couple of weeks that you have to wait. Just out of curiosity, when you say 3D digital scan, we're not talking about anything that has to do with radiation, right?
No, this is all optical scanning. So,
optical, okay. Because, people are, every time you turn around, somebody wants to take a picture of something, and your mouth, your body, whatever. And after a while, that stuff adds up. So I always like to ask that at the onset.
Yeah, absolutely. The only time that I'd probably recommend getting that is if you're getting an implant procedure. And okay. the radiation dosages have actually come down quite a bit for that type of imaging as well.
Okay, now can this 3D digital scan, can it be done for implants?
It can be done after the implant to help with the crown on top. We still recommend getting a cone beam CT scan, and that still does create a 3D image of your jaw and can be used for the implant planning procedure.
Because I had implants, and the other thing too is I got to ask you. There are some places, and no names mentioned or anything, but there are some places that say, well, you can go in, and the same day they can put the implants in, and have the crowns on the implants, and you're out of there in one day. That makes me nervous, because I've had implants, and it takes a little longer to be sure you're doing it right, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it really should be a planned out procedure. You really should have the CT scan done. The dentist should look at the bone structure. They even have surgical guides now that are 3D printed guides that the dentist or the oral surgeon can use that guides the drill exactly to where it should go. So you don't have to rely on their hands anymore. They just lock the drill into the guide, and it places the implant perfectly into the jaw.
Wow. And the other thing, now you say you're putting it into the jaw with implants, and implants are like the hot new thing. Well, they've been around for a long time, but it's really catching on now because people don't want to wear dentures. And the implants you can get away with not having to wear dentures. Yeah. But you have to be careful because you have to have enough bone to hold that implant.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the requirement. There must be enough bone there to hold the implant. But if you do have enough bone, that is the procedure to get done. If you go with dentures or you decide not to get an implant, what actually happens is the bone resorbs. It actually deteriorates because there's nothing there traumatizing the jaw, actually. So with the implant in place, it actually helps your bone structure, and it's the best procedure you can get if you are missing teeth.
Really? Well, and they also have the technology to put extra bone in.
Yes. Well, so with bone grafting, they can do that, and sometimes it is a multi-step procedure, like you described. You know, you don't have enough bone structure, we'll do the bone graft, then we'll get to the implant, then we'll get to the crown.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a long procedure, but you know what? The results are amazing these days. I mean, how long have implants been around now?
Oh, implants have been around for 2 decades at least, if not more.
Years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was one of the first patients in this area that had an implant and the crown put on the same day. At one time, they didn't even do that.
Yeah, that is. Oh, that's amazing. How did that work out for you?
Perfect.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and now I have several in my mouth, and I love the new technology that they have. There was a time when they'd put implants, and then they put like a bridge if you have 2 or 3 teeth or whatever, and those implants would hold that bridge. Now they're doing crowns on every implant.
Yes.
So it's healthier.
Yes, it is. It is. So yeah, it's healthier. It's not as much stress on the bridge. You don't have to worry about the bridge cracking. So the single crown per implant procedure is becoming much more popular.
And hygienically, it's good too because you can floss in between each tooth like you do normal teeth.
Yes, yeah, and actually they have dentures now that can be attached to implants as well. So if you're missing all of your teeth, it's called an all-on-4 procedure. They can basically put 4 implants in with the attachments, and the denture can lock into that. So it's very rigid. You don't have to worry about using any creams or paste or anything like that. And then you can pop it out, clean it, so it's very hygienic. But it's a better experience overall for the patient. So
dentistry is finally moving into the digital world. What did it do? Go kicking and screaming into it? It took a while.
Yeah, it took quite a while, and part of it I think is just patient demand and patient education. You know, it wasn't the standard of care to do digital X-rays or use intraoral scanning. But I think patients are becoming more educated now, and they're demanding it. Like I want to have an implant procedure, not a crown and bridge procedure. I want you to use an intraoral scanner, not take a traditional impression. So finally, dentists are being pushed and prodded along to buy that equipment and use that technology.
Now, is it going to cost more? Because, man, my mouth is expensive as it is.
The technology out there shouldn't increase the cost for your dentist. Specifically for us at Sun Dental Labs, we offer our equipment to dentists for free, actually. So they can use it. There's no additional cost for them. And actually, things end up being cheaper for them overall in the long run.
Okay, so what do I tell my dentist when I go see him? I have a pretty, advanced dentist, and with the implants, I had a specialist in implants alone, which I think is a good idea. You shouldn't have somebody who says they can do everything because you can't always do everything right or the best.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. You want somebody, if you're getting implants, you want somebody that's been doing it for a while. Oral surgeons are very experienced with that type of thing as well. But if you're going to your dentist, you should ask them, do you use an intraoral scanner? Are you thinking about anything? If you are thinking about one, it'd be great if you mentioned our name out there. And, if you could go talk to Sun Dental Labs, they have a great digital dentistry solution for the dentists that are out there.
And it's inter or intra?
It's intraoral.
Intraoral, okay. Scanning. Okay, I got to mark that down. I'm going to go see my dentist. I'm going to ask him if he knows about this. What about insurance? Does that cover just like everything else?
Yes, this doesn't change anything on the insurance side. So this all has to do with manufacturing the crown or the implant. So it doesn't affect anything with insurance.
Okay, so this is the basically the crown that goes over whatever, whether it goes over a tooth or an implant, doesn't make any difference.
Yep, doesn't make any difference.
Okay, so how long has this been around now?
This technology has actually been around for about 2 decades, but it's only recently. Yes, it's been around for a while. And if your dentist was really cutting edge and didn't like taking risks, they might have had a machine. But it's only recently in the past 2 or 3 years that it's reached the point that it's affordable enough and the quality is good enough to use and replace traditional dentistry.
But again, they don't have to necessarily have the machine in their office.
No, they do not. They do not. As long as they have the intraoral scanner, that's all that's required.
Okay, and the rest can be done with labs around the area that actually do the work.
Absolutely, yeah. That data, digital data, is then sent to the lab, and they produce the restoration.
Yeah, it seems like we should get high tech. I said we're walking kind of robotics anyway. When you think about it, we replace all kinds of parts in the body, so the mouth should be the primary. I mean, that's the one that feeding you every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And one interesting thing is, crowns are actually stronger than natural teeth. So if you had your whole jaw replaced with crowns, your bite would actually be stronger. It wouldn't chip. It wouldn't deteriorate like natural teeth do. So in that way, we are kind of advancing beyond what the human body is naturally capable of.
So the actual scanner obviously is in the office, and then when you do the 3D digital stuff and printing, you mean it just actually prints out, so they don't build it by hand anymore?
No, it's not built by hand anymore. The only part that's touched up by hand a little bit is to get the color right. But everything else is machined, and it's fired and hardened and sintered overnight. And then that's what's produced and sent to the office. So it's very different from how things used to be even 5 years ago.
Yeah, it just seems amazing to me that a machine can make something that accurate.
It is. The machining can actually get down to about 1 micron, and for comparison purposes, a strand of hair is about 20 microns thick. So you're talking about something that's 1/20th of that size in terms of accuracy.
I love the new technology. As new technology comes out, obviously you want to do the best you can, because so many people are walking around with, and I'm not saying dentures are bad. Some people, it's no problem, which is great. But a lot of people have problems with their dentures. They just can't eat certain things, or, like you said, the dentures, you'll have something in between, and that's all you need to get, and that's probably pretty uncomfortable. I don't think I could ever wear dentures, to be honest with you. I marvel at people who can. But it's wonderful to see this kind of technology coming about, that they don't have to worry about doing that anymore.
No, they don't, absolutely. And this technology combined with implants, you can actually get an entire implant bridge recreated. So instead of wearing a denture, you can get all crowns again, and you don't have to worry about that procedure.
So how expensive is it to have a 3D digital scanner?
For the dentist to get it, actually with the programs that we offer, it's actually free for them, because we want to get the work, right? We make the crowns, we make the dentures. So we say, here, use our intraoral scanner, and just send us the work, and you get to use that one for as long as you want. So
go ahead. What does it look like again?
It's about the little bit bigger than a pen-shaped device, and it sits there and you just run it over the teeth. Just a little camera. So
you don't have to have the big old honker thing come up against your cheek and everything and taking.
No, you don't have. Yeah, don't feel a tray digging into your gums anymore. Making you bleed or anything like that. So it's a much quicker procedure. Yeah.
That's amazing. How extensive is it? I mean, is this a lot of people using it?
Only about 5% of the market is using it right now. So
no kidding.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for growth out there.
Well, I mean, what have they got to lose?
Exactly. It's a very low risk thing to get into, and it actually improves their practice overall.
Well, the thing too is, you're saying the actual intraoral scanner is free.
Yes.
You're looking for the work.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And for patients as well, it's interesting to see people. You sit in the chair and you can see exactly what your teeth look like in full 3D, full color. Even what you ate for lunch that day will show up on the scan there on the screen. Yeah.
Wow. So where are we going from here? What's next?
Well, from here, I mean, there's some other interesting advancements out there that I believe dentists should start utilizing. For instance, for injections, whether it's a Novocaine or a numbing solution. Yeah, exactly. Nobody likes that. They have some new devices out there that actually vibrate. So it's got these two little prongs on the side that vibrate as the injection is being applied, so you don't feel it. Your tissue's distracted and your nerves are distracted by this vibration while you're being given the injection. Yeah, so it alleviates a lot of the pain there. There's some newer devices that there's a device that has a button that's hooked up to the drill. So if any time during the procedure you feel anxious or you feel some pain, you can hit the button and it immediately stops the drill. So you're in control.
I just bite my dentist's hand.
There you go.
That's if they don't have something in there keeping your mouth open, so you can't do it. It's amazing. All right, so check out. This is fantastic. The other thing too is, and I know the technology has changed over the last few years, which thank God. But some people, it's not a good idea to have the injection with epinephrine, the Novocaine with epinephrine, because that can speed up your heart. And some people who have AFib and that type of thing, they have to be a little on the careful side not to do that. But there was a time that was not available. So I guess it's progressing pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And dentists are more aware of this now, so they'll ask more questions about, do you have any allergic reactions to these types of materials or these medications? Yeah, and they carry all the medical equipment you need. They carry defibrillators in the office now. So the profession has advanced quite a bit.
Well, and I would say, to anyone who has any kind of dental work done, be aggressive. Tell people. Don't go in there and say, well, whatever you say. Ask questions. Tell them the medications you're on, what you can or can't take. I mean, they can't read your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Disclosure is key for the whole procedure, because you don't know exactly what's going to be utilized or what medications they might use or what's going to happen. So definitely disclosure is essential. And
believe me, I have wonderful dentists, but every time I go in, I always remind them, remember, I can't do this or I can't do that, I even take a little notebook with me with the questions and everything. I'm sure they get frustrated after a while, but I always look at it this way. They are busy. They've got a lot of patients. Yeah, they've got your folder there with the stuff on it. But, when they get busy and everything and they go from room to room, I just want to make sure that you remember who I am and what you did in there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're kind of the ideal patient, actually, if you come in and you explain all that information to them.
Because they don't want to hurt you. I mean, that's not their purpose. The purpose is to, let you get out there and be able to chew on your popcorn again, which I would die if I couldn't. So I've got to do that. The accuracy of what the technology is today, it is amazing. So obviously, it's constantly in a state of flux, is it not?
It is. It's always improving. The accuracy level is increasing. Right now, we've actually kind of reached a plateau in the industry. We're utilizing 3D printing. We're utilizing milling machines, and there really isn't a more accurate technology out there than those. So we're kind of at that point where the technology is mature enough that it really should be used in every dental practice that's out there.
Now, do you have labs all over the place? I mean, like in California, Northern California, how far away are the labs? How prevalent are they?
So dental labs in general, there's about 10,000 of them in the U.S. We have a location in the U.S. We're actually based out of Florida, but then we have locations in Europe as well as Asia. So we actually see things across the globe in terms of how dentistry is progressing or isn't progressing in other regions.
So again, there are labs that will be able to do this work, right?
Absolutely. There are labs that will be able to do this work, but also the dental lab does have to be a little more progressive as well. They have to be willing to invest in the technology to make it work. So it's a really symbiotic relationship between the dentist and the dental lab.
Gotcha. Is it an expensive, the 3D printer, is that expensive?
They are actually. So a lot of people see 3D printing and they see, they have 3D printers now for $3,000. You can go buy them at Home Depot. The industrial ones that we use are on the order of, $100,000 plus, and we have fleets of them out there. So it's a different scale, but they're very reliable machines, and you can manufacture pretty much anything you want with that technology.
It's amazing. Well, and the thing is, when you think about it, it would give you more work anyway, wouldn't it? Because of the shortened amount of time, because that's time intensive for somebody to sit there and build a crown, whereas what does it take? 5 minutes with a 3D printer to do it?
Yeah, and it's unmonitored time. So even if it takes 5 hours, it's a machine handling most of the work. And even for the dentist, it leads to more work for them as well, because it's less chair time. They can just take a scan real quick, or even have the assistant take a scan. That's how easy it is, and then they can move on to helping the next patient. So all around, it's just efficiency throughout the whole industry.
Now, do you have researchers at Sun Dental that are constantly looking at new technology and researching?
Absolutely. So there's always newer technology coming out. We want to be on the cutting edge of whatever's out there. So we do have a dedicated R&D team, and that is their job. They're always looking at materials, newer technologies, newer software, whatever it might be that's out there to help us out.
Keep up the good work, because I don't like it. I always tell my dentist, I like you as a person. You're a very nice guy. I've got two. One that does the implants, and one that a regular dentist. And I said, I love you, but I hate you as a dentist. I'm not happy to be here. But if all this other stuff is coming out, and it makes it a little easier in that chair, darn, that's okay for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes things a lot easier. And excuse me, with the 3D images specifically, Once we take a scan of the patient's mouth, we have that record forever. And so let's say you lose a tooth or something gets knocked out. We have that data of what your original tooth looked like, and we can recreate that original tooth structure. So whatever it looked like before, we can make an exact copy of it, which, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But stronger, right?
Yeah, that's stronger and better. Whereas right now, if you lost a tooth, nobody has any idea of what it used to look like. So there's another advantage.
Good deal. How can I get more information?
So if you go to sundentallabs.com, we have a section dedicated just for dentists, but patients can go there as well and read more about the technology and how it's utilized.
Fabulous. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Keep up the good work, because I do not want to have to do this too much more.
Great. Thanks so much for having me on.
My mouth is so full of work. It's amazing. And I know you must be laughing, but it's not. Truly, I could retire on my mouth. I'm not kidding. It can really cost.
Yeah, quite a bit. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate that.
You betcha. And come back anytime and keep us posted on any new technology.
Okay, definitely will. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye now. That's Chuck Stapleton. He's the Chief Operating Officer of Sun.